Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information. Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and this is episode number 19. I am flying solo this week, so it could be a little bit interesting. We're going to try to get through it, and hopefully it'll be entertaining. I've never done this by myself before, so, it could be a little bit different. But anyway, so it's been a heck of a week with the holiday, and, UCF sports was pretty busy this weekend as well. Of course, you all know that. Friday, to start off, 16-0 victory over the USF Bulls. It was their first ever shutout at home, and the Knights gave it to them. It was a rivalry game, of course. Everybody said that it seemed more like a home game for UCF, and, that's pretty cool for us to go to, our rival's place and take more fans than they had there, number one. People said that it was like 70-30 UCF fans. That's pretty exciting. Also, there was a win for the men's basketball team tonight, 75-67 over Bethune-Cookman, and that was exciting because Justin McBride scored 31 points and 8 rebounds. So that's cool. Justin McBride kind of had been struggling for a while, and he has got it back together. Just put on a clinic for those guys tonight. It was awesome to be out there and to see that and to see UCF get a victory. So back to the football game. It was an interesting football game, I think. I'm sure most of you have watched it. I find that it was interesting with Rennell Hall being the leading rusher. We didn't have Stanback. We didn't have J.J. Wharton. If you haven't heard the news on JJ, JJ is out with a torn ACL. He's done for the season. There's only, one game and a bowl game left, so that's kind of a bummer for him. I'm not even sure. I don't think that he will even be able to be ready for the UCF Pro Day. So, that's a bummer. It's going to hurt him in the draft a little bit. Hopefully the scouts and the NFL teams have seen him do what he does enough that they will know what they're going to get. Hopefully he can get that knee taken care of. So he finished his career with 168 receptions, 2,360 yards, 21 touchdowns, 740 punt return yards, and obviously the biggest thing I think of his career and the thing that I'll remember the most about JJ, the catch. It's very unfortunate for him, and we are totally going to miss him. If, you watched the game on Friday, obviously we missed him. It made our offense do, some different things. Like I said, Rennell Hall was the leading rusher. We also did not have William Stanback, so that made things interesting. Micah Reed was in there. He had 20 carries for 57 yards. Cedric Thompson got in there a couple times, 7 carries for 20 yards. But Rennell Hall, 10 for 65 and averaging 6.5 yards a carry and 1 touchdown. His longest run was 21 yards, and I believe that was for a touchdown. Brashad Perryman had a great game, 6 for 55 yards, 1 touchdown. Josh Reese, 5 for 54 yards. Jordan Akins got the ball a couple times. It was a great game. We had a safety, which was, pretty cool to do that as well against your rival. Let's hear right now, real quick, from George O'Leary and what he had to say, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about that.
I tell you, it was a good win by all 3 units, offense, defense, special teams, and I thought defensively we really come up. Every time they had to ring the bell, they rung it, and did a great job of keeping them out of the end zone. And when we had a control, we had some 17-play drives, some 12-play drives, sustained it, and we got a good win. And now they gave themselves an opportunity to play for a conference championship next weekend. And I congratulate them, but our job's not done yet, and they understand that. But good game and a great win by us. And I tell you, I want to congratulate the home crowd. I thought they did a great job of getting over here. It's almost like a home game.
What was it like to hear the UCF chants as you're walking off the field?
I turned and waved to them and clapped for them. I thought they did a great job of getting over here. They were behind the team the whole game, and a good win. So I'm happy for our team. I know they're ecstatic, but it's short-lived. That we have practice tomorrow, get ready with the short week next week for East Carolina. But good game. I thought we were consistent on offense. Gave 6-some runs at running back there, Manel Hall, and turned out to be not bad. So had a touchdown run, 21-yarder, but good win for us.
All right, so there you have it. Those were George O'Leary's comments after the game. It's interesting because our defense probably played one of the better games that they have played all year long. We held them to 5 rushing yards and, let me see here, passing yards. They had 195 passing yards, which was actually a little bit more than us. We had 150 passing yards. We had 295 total yards, and they had 200, but they did not have anything really to show for that. We turned the ball over a couple times. We lost a couple fumbles and then an interception. So, it happens. I think that we did a great job, for what was going on there. Mike White, their quarterback, was injured at one point, so Stephen Bench came off the bench to come in and, play a little bit. But Marlon Mack, their running back, he actually ran for 32 yards, but they pretty much all the net yards were called back. The other guys lost the yards. So that was definitely an interesting game. I have some notes here about the game. UCF remained tied atop the American Athletic Conference, improving to 8-3 overall and 6-1 in the league. The Knights picked up their first shutout in 22 games. The last shutout was at FIU last season, 38-0. It was the first time USF has ever been shut out in a home contest, and it was just the third time ever. The Knights won their second consecutive contest against South Florida and their first at Raymond James Stadium. UCF now has a combined 30 victories since 2012, good for an average of 10 wins in the last 3 seasons, and it also has won at least 8 games in 5 of the last 6 campaigns. So we're bowl eligible again. I think that this program, a lot of times we've had a good year and then a bad year, and a good year and a bad year. We've put together 2 years, that have been pretty dang good. We've gone to bowl games the last 3 years. I think we've done a good job. I'm excited, to see what's going to happen next year. I'm excited to see what's going to happen this next week against ECU. That should be, an exciting game. The streak stayed alive as UCF has now won 14 straight on non-Saturday games. So that's interesting, and we need to keep that going because we have a Thursday game this week. The Knights recorded a safety in the third quarter thanks to a Thomas Niles sack and an intentional grounding penalty. It was UCF's first safety since last year versus Temple. We don't get to see those very often, but I like safeties. That means that our defense is kicking some butt. UCF racked up 4 sacks in the contest. The Knights covered 11 of 18 on third down on Friday and were 1 for 1 on fourth down. Conversely, UCF was 5 of 14 on third down and 1 of 4 on fourth down, UCF gave up just 5 total rushing yards, the fewest by an opponent since 30 yards versus Tulane in 2009. Of course, the captains for the game were Terrence Plummer, Clayton Geathers, and Josh Reese, all seniors. They're captains for the rest of the season, obviously. Only one more game and a bowl game. Geathers made his 50th straight start and has now played in 51 career games as a Knight. Brandon Alexander made his 36th straight start. Micah Reed made his first start, the sophomore running back. And junior center Joey Grant earned his first start as the right guard. He did not play center, but he hasn't for the last couple weeks. And, the that's doing that has done a great job. I think that this may be, for the first time, the right offensive line for the first, last couple games, actually. Rashad Perriman extended his streak by hauling in a reception on his 29th straight game, tying for the 6th longest streak in UCF history. I'm kind of worried, to be honest with you, and I know that we've talked a little bit about this. I'm worried that Perryman's not going to be back. He shows pretty amazing stuff when he catches the ball. I know that there are some times that he does not catch the ball, and he drops it and looks at his hands and wonders what happened. But for the most part, he catches the ball and does pretty good things, after the catch. Perryman recorded another touchdown reception, giving him 6 straight games with a touchdown. He's the first Knight to accomplish that feat since Tyson Hinshaw in the 2000 season. With 6 receptions for 55 yards, Perryman now has over 100 career catches for 1,966 yards and 15 touchdowns. So, he is probably one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver, besides, of course, Brandon Marshall, and there's not too many of them, but he has had already a pretty incredible career at UCF. I personally hope that he comes back. We will see. I think that he is going to be pretty coveted, whether he comes back this year or he goes out this year by NFL teams. So, like I said, we'll see. Justin Holman now has passed for a touchdown in every game this year. His streak of 11 consecutive games with a touchdown pass is the 8th longest in UCF history. Holman finished the game 20 of 29 for 150 yards with 1 touchdown and interception. He's only going to get better. I at times have been, not so pro Justin Holman, but he's starting to get it together. I think he's done a heck of a job for a sophomore. He's going to be even better next year. We've got some quarterbacks coming in, of course, but it's his team. I don't know what happened this summer where they would start Pete DeNovo over him. I'm not sure. They said that he wasn't good in practice. Of course, we've talked about that before, but, whatever. You never know. Players can get on O'Leary's bad side, and I don't know. So hopefully he will keep it together. He's going to have a heck of a game next week against ECU, and I think that he will. With 2 point-after attempts made today, Sean Moffitt now has 150 for his career. He also has 291 career points. Both of those numbers rank number 2 on the UCF career lists. Demetrius Anderson notched his 2nd sack of the season on Friday. Miles Pace tallied his 4th sack of the season, taking the quarterback down in the 4th quarter. Thomas Niles started the year with a sack in each of the first 5 games, but had not had one since October 9th versus BYU. Niles ended that drought Friday and now has a personal best of 6 sacks this season. Mamiya also collected his 5th sack of the year. So it was pretty interesting, that game. A couple other things. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Willie Taggart, the coach for USF, had kind of an interesting press conference after. He was actually asked if he wanted to style his program after UCF and, if he actually aspired to be like UCF with the program. And his response was, hell no. He said, before providing context and adding, I want to be at USF and build our program to be something really special that all the Bulls can be really proud of, not what another program does. We want to win. My vision for this program is to win multiple championships in a first-class manner. That's what we're going to build it to. We will see. Now, is he saying that UCF, isn't a class organization and hasn't done that, correctly? And I don't know, but whatever. He doesn't want to be like UCF. I don't think he ever has any chance of being like UCF, to be honest with you. That program, with the small amount of, their fans that showed up there, they say that the announced attendance was like 36,000 something. I'm sure that 36,963. This is what they say the announced attendance was. I'm telling you right now that 20,000 of those people were most likely UCF fans. If you heard it on TV, you watched it, you heard the chants, you heard our band, even though they set them up in the top section, the band, and a lot of the fans, that got their tickets through UCF had to sit up there in the top, levels of Raymond James Stadium. But you heard them on TV, you heard them chanting. I'm sure the players there heard them. Obviously, George O'Leary heard them, So I think that was awesome for the fans. I personally was not able to make it with the holiday and the whole deal, but, I am going to hand out a little bit of pluses and minuses here of the game. We're going to start off with Rennell Hall. He did a heck of a job, running the ball. It's not normal that he, runs the ball for us. Yes, they do some end arounds and things like that, but he did a great job without having William Stanback and with having, a very young Micah Reed there. So it was very interesting. I think he did a great job. Another plus I'm going to give to Perryman. He had some great catches. He had the 1 3rd down catch that he, took quite a distance. Of course, the fan base gets a plus. Plummer is another person that gets a plus because that guy's solid. We're going to miss him big time next year. The run game, we held them to 5 yards because of Plummer. There are definitely a few minuses. We fumbled a couple times. Our pass rush wasn't totally what it could have been. Our offensive line is still struggling a little bit, but it's definitely a little bit better. I like Joey Grant there in a different spot. That's about that. And I think that's a pretty good recap of that game. There's not a lot more that can be said about it. Holman did have a pretty decent day, 20 of 29 for 150 yards. He did, throw a touchdown, but he also did throw an interception. And that's, kind of been one of the things, that he's struggled with, of course. But now we look ahead for ECU. This could be, the toughest game of our year. It's the last game. We all thought that this would be the de facto conference championship, and it still will, technically, because we'll probably have a share unless Memphis is to lose this week, and I believe Cincinnati would still need to lose. So I'm going to go ahead and do the recap of the American here. ECU won over Tulsa, 49-32. ECU now has a record of 8-3 and 5-2 for the conference. Tulsa is done. Their record of 2-10 and 2-6 for the conference. They do not have any games left. Houston won 35-9 over SMU. SMU, of course, finished 0-11. They did not win a game this year. Houston is 7-4, and they are 5-2 in the conference as well. Cincinnati won over Temple 14-6. Cincinnati now has a record of 8-3 and 6-1 in the conference. Temple has a record of 5-6 and 3-4 in the conference. Memphis beat UConn 41-10. Memphis is 9-3 and 7-1 in the conference. UConn, of course, 2-9 and 1-6 in the conference. Their one victory in the conference obviously was us. I have no clue how that happened, and that is going to be the thorn in our side because now we, can play for a share of the title. There would have to be a couple things that would have to happen for us to win outright the American Championship. I'm fine with partial championships, whatever. As long as we have that trophy in our case, of course, I would have liked to win that outright. Of course, we would all like to win it outright. I don't think it's going to happen. We will see. This next week, there's a couple games to go over, and it's going to make the difference. Of course, we play on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. in East Carolina, actually North Carolina, but against East Carolina. Cincinnati has to play Houston. Connecticut plays SMU. That should be an incredibly exciting game, Connecticut and SMU. See if SMU can beat Connecticut. Temple also plays Tulane, and that pretty much finishes up the American Conference play. We have no championship game. We will next year. That'll be exciting. Then it will be on to bowls after that. So, East Carolina is third overall in passing yards, with 364.6 for each game. That's a lot. But we are the number 5 defense in the entire FBS. That's pretty exciting. Our defense has worked really hard this year, and that's a nice ranking to have. ECU's defense, 53rd. So we're 66th with 226 yards for passing. We're 105th in the rushing category. ECU is 52nd in the rushing category. So if you're going to play stats and things like that, yes, ECU should beat us. I do not want to see that happen, obviously. But, it could. We'll have to see what happens there. We'll have to see who comes out and plays this week, what UCF team it is, what Holman it is. We cannot have turnovers. We have to take advantage of everything that they give us. They're a much different team. We have gone back and forth with this team for a long, long time, since we've been playing with them. UCF lost all 4 meetings in the 90s and went 3-5 while the programs were in Conference USA. East Carolina owns a 9-3 series lead, including a 6-1 mark in North Carolina. We've only won 1 time up there. It's going to be interesting, for sure. A victory, obviously, over East Carolina will give UCF a share of the league title. It would be the Knights' first back-to-back conference championships and their 4th overall. UCF coming into it has won 24 consecutive games beginning at 3 p.m. or later, so that's good. The Knights have also won 13 straight on non-Saturday games. We need one more. That's all we need is one more. With 30, UCF is tied for the 8th most victories in the FBS since 2012. The defense ranks, like I just said a little while ago, 5th in a couple different categories there. So our defense is one of the best defenses in the FBS, and we need to show it more than any against East Carolina. I don't know what more I can say about that, to be honest with you. We're going to talk a little bit of basketball now. UCF basketball, of course, I said a little while ago, won tonight against Bethune-Cookman, 75-67. Justin McBride scored 31 points and 8 rebounds. Justin McBride. If you guys follow this, UCF basketball, Justin McBride has not done so much this year and came out and scored 31 points. That's absolutely amazing. Absolutely an amazing game. He put on a clinic for those guys. One of the best games, his best game ever career-wise was 13 points before. He'd done it twice, but tonight he scored 31. BJ Taylor was out with an ankle problem. Should be back Tuesday against Georgia Southern. Last week, the UCF basketball team lost against a much better Davidson team, 95-69. UCF gets behind and have to play catch-up a lot of times with the teams that are better than them. They let them get a little bit close tonight, but didn't let them get behind. I'm going to play Donnie Jones' press conference audio right here. This is his opening statement after the win tonight.
Obviously, we're happy with the win, as I always say when we win. Bethune-Cookman, I thought, played very well tonight. offensively. Justin McBride, I was very proud of him to finally get him back into where we expect him to be, and I'm really happy for him. He needed some success, and tonight really just dominated inside, and that was the difference in the game for us on the offensive end. But more than anything, I was happy just to see him be aggressive and see him to be assertive tonight in the basketball game.
And then also Justin McBride's comments after the game tonight.
My teammates just found me, That's all it was. Posting hard, and my teammates just really made an effort to throw me the ball. So he told me on the bench, he was like, yo, I don't care about scoring. I don't care about none of that. If I throw you the ball, finish. All my sits. Let's go. I was like, let's do it. So, they just found me, and I started scoring a little bit, and the basket got bigger and bigger, and I was knocking down free throws, so it just felt good. I think going home, being able to recharge for a day was a big contributor to it, but just practicing hard and just playing. Like, I love to play on my team. They told me they were going to find me this game. They did, and that was all it was.
All right, well, I'm really happy to see Justin McBride do good in the game. He seemed really happy, was laughing and having a good time after the game as well. So I'm glad to see that happen. He's a good kid. He's exciting to watch because he's such a big guy out there. So go see UCFKnightlinePodcast.com. Please sign up for our message board. You can also call 407-205-7427. That's going to do it for episode 19. Thank you very much for listening. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you next week after the ECU game. Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold, charge right through the line. Victory is our cry. BSETO or Y. Tonight our nights will shine.